Hi, hello, and welcome to episode number 5 of CPGB, home of underground podcasting, where we discuss comedy, punk, games, and books. I am your co-host, Ryan Parker, and joining me is a nerd who needs no introduction, Reid Pegram.
Hello, Keeler nerds. I hope.
We are coming to you today from the pit of pestilence located somewhere in the steam tunnels, deep beneath the soft white underbelly of Raleigh, North Carolina. We have so much to talk about this month, Reid. So much to talk about. But first, I want to send a shout out to our listeners around the world in places like Sri Lanka, Myanmar, Nepal, Bangladesh, Democratic Republic of Congo. Okay, so let me tell you, first of all, we got a lot of new listeners. I dropped a couple of bucks on Facebook ads just to get some traffic to the podcast, maybe a few new followers on Instagram, and holy social media, Batman. Our listeners went from like a few dozen to a few thousand. And we got more than 3,000 downloads just in May alone. Listeners joining us from 43 countries like Papua New Guinea, Algeria, Haiti, Venezuela, Uganda, Bolivia, Mexico, Libya.
Yeah.
Yeah, after all we did to Libya and people still listen to us, thanks.
Oh, man. They know we're one of the good guys. We're two of the good ones, you know?
Right. Yeah, I couldn't believe it, man. Just the response that we've been getting has been really amazing. So welcome to our listeners from around the world. If you listen to us, do us a solid. Head over to iTunes and leave us a review. We'll do something special for the people who leave a review. I'm trying to think of something to do. I'm not sure what it is yet.
Nudes. You're getting nude pictures of my body. So
well, we want people to leave a review.
I want people to leave a review too of my body. I need. That's what you get a good podcast, and like the things that I hate most about myself.
Right, but do it without a reward because we're just fucking awesome, and you want to tell the world how awesome we are. Reid, you and I went from hardly seeing each other at all in April because I was having back surgery. Right. To seeing each other almost every day for an entire week in May.
Yeah.
We went to see bands. We went to comedy festivals in town.
Oak City.
Comic book sales. We were all over the place. And I'm glad I'm feeling better to be able to do that. And how are you feeling, man? How's your knee doing? I'm
doing pretty good. My mom sent me a new knee brace, which is where I'm at in life. And and some meds. I tried a cold hot pad on it yesterday, and it was weird.
Yeah, feels good.
Very jelly. I'm having some good knee days.
I'm glad to hear that, man. My back is doing good. I'm in physical therapy now, which means that I'm getting better, but it also means that I realize just how out of shape I am. I mean, there's nothing like a few laps in the pool to make you realize just how fucking out of shape you are.
Oh yeah, no, that's what I'm probably going to try and do this summer. Kind of work out my knees, just get in the pool. And I just associate like water and being in it with drinking too much, though. I think that's my thing. Like I can't this is a business pool. This is not this is not whiskey and cigarettes pool. I understand. YMCA.
Right. Yeah, man. I'm glad that we could go out and be doing all this stuff all throughout the entire month of May. Also, one of the things that happened in the month of May, and I didn't know where to put this into the podcast, so we're just going to talk about this up front, man.
Right. This is so fucking, yeah.
It's just sort of insane. So Stan Lee.
Our Lord and Savior.
Our Lord and Savior. The guy who is Mr. Marvel. Stan Lee is suing the company that he helped found for $1 billion. The article is from IGN.com, and I'll give you a little read here. Stan Lee is fighting to regain control of his identity. The 95-year-old comics legend filed a $1 billion lawsuit in Los Angeles County Superior Court against POW Entertainment, a company he helped found. Lee is suing the company and its officers for fraud and conversion, essentially claiming its officers, quote, stole his identity, name, and likeness. According to The Hollywood Reporter, Lee claims that when the company was acquired in 2017 by Hong Kong-based company Camsing International Holding, CEO of POW, Shane Duffy, and co-founder Gil Champion didn't disclose the details of the deal. Last year, he claims the duo and his ex-business manager, Gerardo Olivares, asked Lee to sign a non-exclusive license with POW. This ended up being a fraudulent agreement that gave the company, quote, the exclusive right to use Lee's name, identity, image, and likeness on a worldwide basis in perpetuity. Lee is also embroiled in a separate lawsuit with Olivares, claiming that in April that the ex-business manager of his was one of many, quote, unscrupulous businessmen, sycophants, and opportunists who sought to take advantage of Lee after the death of his wife, Joan. In the complaint, Powell attorney Adam Grant wrote that Lee, quote, does not recall anyone reading the illegitimate document to him, and due to his advanced macular degeneration, he could not have read it himself.
Can't fucking see. How fucking dare you? How dare you?
The degeneration rendered Lee legally blind in 2015. While the illegitimate document purports to contain Lee's signature, Lee never knowingly signed it. Quote, either Duffy, Champion, Olivares, or Powell, either one, forged Lee's signature, two, lifted Lee's signature from another document and imposed it on the illegitimate document, or three, someone, likely one of the defendants, induced Lee to sign the illegitimate document by using a bait and switch tactic, telling Lee that it was something else.
Oh no, it's just a 8x10 glossy for some kid with terminal cancer. It's a Spider-Man picture. Would you mind signing it, Mr. Lee? What a fucking piece of shit. Sorry.
Lee is seeking an injunction declaring the agreement invalid and unenforceable and damages in excess of $1 billion.
So, like, I feel like I want to be that guy who made that video for Britney Spears back when the internet started, and it was like, leave Stan Lee alone. I don't know.
What are your thoughts on this?
I'm with Stan Lee on this a little, I mean, sure, he doesn't need the money.
Okay.
You know,
I think that's where a lot of people go to, right, to start with, because the guy's 95 years old.
Right.
But I think he's doing it to make a point, because comic writers and artists, everybody needs to stand up for their name.
Yeah.
Because your name is essentially who you are in the industry.
Right. And as long as the industry has existed, there's been a storied history of comic creators getting fucked over.
Superman is a classic example.
Classic. They didn't see any money. But like, if Stan Lee is even in this now in 2018 getting fucked over, like, as a comics creator, I think it should be made an example of, though.
Yeah, I think that's why he's doing it for $1 billion. Because,
right.
I mean, when it hit the headlines, I mean, $1 billion, really? I mean, which just goes to show how much Stan Lee is worth. They want to be able to use his image and his name after he dies, so his estate receives none of that. I mean, it's his image, right?
It's his livelihood. He has a family. Like, I don't know. Isn't that what you work for throughout your whole life? Is to, like, be able to provide for the people you love? And these fucking assholes want to.
Yeah, I think it's crazy, man. I mean, it'll be interesting to see how this shakes out.
And I like how that Daredevil cameo from the Ben Affleck one has come full circle now. He's like actually the blind guy crossing the street.
I mean, and this is almost like supervillain lawyers fighting against.
What a Lex Luthor move these pieces of shits are doing.
Well, let's get into the world of comedy, man. So, yeah, you have just got finished doing another podcast. You were at a podcast last night.
I was unfaithful and I joined. I don't know if it's like when your cat smells another cat on you, kind of. I was hanging out in High Point with the Name Redacted podcast guys, Chris Nielsen and Alex Fulmer and Colin Norris, and we were this is a great podcast. Had me on a lot, especially when I was starting to do comedy. The show was awesome. They have that whole chat thing where people coming in. You were coming in,
right? Yeah.
Shamelessly promoting this podcast.
But yeah, because they do it on Twitch, and you put the link out there, and I'm like, oh, I gotta sign in. And I've never signed into Twitch before, and I'm like, might as well make it for CPGB just in case we ever decide to do any live stuff. Right. And immediately started talking shit about you drinking 40 out of a pint glass.
Those guys are awesome. I hope to, maybe have some of them on. Just,
Cool. Yeah, we should totally
cross promulge.
We should totally reach out to them and have them on the show.
I think Alex Fulmer's working on a whole tabletop game.
Oh, no.
Of his own design.
Well, cool, man. I'd love to have him on and have him talk about it. So also, you had other shows. You did a coffee house show down in Wilmington with Sam Mazzani and Shadi Diaz and Justin Scranton, right?
Yeah, that was Saturday. Went to Lucky Joe's. It's Drew Harrison and Matt Milner. Okay. Local Comics, they run it. It was awesome.
And this is in Wilmington.
It's in Wilmington. It was a great time. Sam headlined. He did like 25.
Cool. And then you had the Shot Caller show in Winston-Salem at Monster Cave.
Ooh, that one was really fun. Yeah, we Drew Harrison and Jack Nelson from Wilmington, they drove up to produce the show, and we all the comics, because we love comedy so much, we just strapped shot collars to our necks, and we all had preliminary shocks, kind of gauge our thresholds. This
is how it's going to feel, sort of thing?
Kind of, and everyone kind of had their select levels, and like you just slowly push it up throughout the set. And like he had a controller, and then also it's other like Anthony Lowe had a controller, but they were accepting tips for like shocks. So like,
so this is truly like,
oh dude, it was barbaric.
Insert coin to watch the monkey dance.
No, like totally. It was like Jenna, my girlfriend, just gave Jack like a wad of cash, like, and she just had it for the last like 5 minutes of my set, and then I think I felt relationship problems like through that shot collar that I.
How does it throw you?
It throws off you. The timing, your pacing is all fucked. And it creates this really good dynamic for riffing to go on. Like you just go like I made like a huge like Return of the Jedi reference. It was like it was being. Let the hatred flow through you, just like coming.
Palpatine.
Yeah, just getting straight Palpatine. I think I got shocked one time, and it's just like Halle Berry storm. Yeah. Raiden was white in the Mortal Kombat movie. You gotta push through them.
Oh wow, man! God, the shit you put up with between that
time,
and the hot sauce thing.
Yeah, it was very
hot shots.
It was just like in all honesty and lasting effects, I think the hot shot shows were.
Well, other shows that you did not get shocked at least I hope not. You were at the Cape Fear Comedy Festival in Wilmington from the 2nd to the 5th of May. How did that go, man?
And that was great. We I went down and stayed with our buddy Troy Coleman. We did like a kind of couch or a house share, shelter share.
Right.
Of like I crashed at his place, and it was awesome. I met Timmy Booth, who's a Seattle comic. We went to elementary school together. Actually,
oh wow, yeah, you were telling me about this guy. Yeah.
My best friend in elementary school, and
he knows Derek Sheen, who's another comedian.
Derek Sheen, who's featured for Brian Posehn. Just great shows, though. You were guaranteed a show every night, and Dead Crow's just one of my favorite rooms.
Yeah, you had a show every single night of the week, right?
Yeah. I think I had 2 on the Wednesday. I think it started on Tuesday to Saturday, and Wednesday I had 2 shows. But I met a lot of really really great people. There's people at Richmond, and a lot of New York people. And
that's one of the best things about a festival is just meeting new comics from around the country, right?
Yeah, no, it's really great,
and you hear different jokes.
Yeah,
because once you do all the mics in Raleigh, you hear the same jokes.
Everybody's kind of stuff, and it was just really awesome to see people. Just really, a lot of people I haven't seen in a long time. I saw Jordan Scott Huggins, who's a Charlotte comic. They moved to New York, but a lot of drinking went down. That's also like a huge part of it. I mean, I went down like pretty broke, like in the middle of the week, waiting until Friday to get paid. But like Friday, I like pretty much like I went and ate lunch with Troy downtown, and I pretty much was free from like 11 or 1:30 till I didn't have a show till 10 that night. And day drinking? Well,
what is it about Wilmington that makes you just want to drink in the middle of the day like that?
I think it's because it's hot and you're just like, this is liquids.
Because you don't do that much here in Raleigh.
No, you really don't. It was, kind of had the money. I knew it's not an expensive Uber home. I hope.
Well, speaking of being in Raleigh, the Oak City Comedy Festival. May 22nd to the 26th, just a couple of weeks ago. God, it seems like forever. The first showcase of that was held at the Outpost for free on that Tuesday, the 22nd. And we filled the showroom with audience members. And we had Sam Mazzani, Pat Oates, Bassam Shaw, Drew Robertson, Troy Coleman, again from Wilmington, and Mimi Benefield. Another watershed moment for the Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson House Party Comedy Open Mic. 51 comics signed up. I think 47 actually went up. I think a few people bailed at the last minute. It was
a gnarly mic in like the best way possible. It's a positive gnarly.
Yeah, and time was a huge consideration because I think we did it right by saying 3 minutes for the first 34 people, and then from 35 to on, everybody gets 2 minutes. And, the total runtime of the show, I think, was 2 hours and 10 minutes.
I think we did not bad for that many people.
I think that was a good manage of time. Considering that, you want to get 90 minutes is the sweet spot. People get laughed out after 90 minutes. Those seats get uncomfortable, but people hung in there the whole time.
People really hung out. And it was like, I was worried about like it being, people who waited till the end, but like people hung out and they seemed kind of refreshed. They weren't, it didn't seem like they were exhausted.
Yeah. I mean, I spent a majority of the time kind of bringing order to the venue, keeping the rest of the house quiet because there was a lot of people in the house.
I mean, it's tough to do that, especially when it's kind of the whole social aspect of the festival, but then it's also has to be still a show. It was just, like it's a lot of people there, but like a lot of people are just out at the bar, and there's still this comes in, I think we had to like, quiet people down like 5 or 6 times.
Right.
To,
Well, let's, public service message. If you want people to be quiet during your set, comedians, then be quiet during their set. That's pretty simple, right? I mean, although even Sam Mazzani has in his bit that he can't whisper.
Yeah.
That he's incapable of whispering.
Well, it's true. That's like his weird, he would join the X-Men and that'd be his thing. It's like, I can't whisper. Can I be on the team?
That would be a superpower.
Oh, dude, I would love it if Sam Mazzani was on the X-Men. There was like you're kind of like Banshee, but you're just allowed not to a superhuman amount, but you're just not quiet. He's like, yeah, I'll be mild Banshee. I don't know, like,
no, it's just annoying. It causes like people want to just leave the room because it's just too loud.
It's just like oh man, all the Sentinels are turning back. I think you've just like bored them and you just annoyed them enough. Sam, I love you.
We love you, Sam. But okay, so other news and comedy, man. Rick and Morty renewed for 70 episodes. Adult Swim finally officially announced a renewal for Rick and Morty a few weeks ago. It was for a lot more than just 4th season. Instead, for an unexpected 70 episodes, a huge long-term deal for the series. It was getting that deal that was the reason behind the lengthy delay of announcing the next season. You might ask the question, why would you fight for essentially 7 seasons worth of episodes? And Dan Harmon and Justin Roiland, the creators of Rick and Morty, said it was essentially not just for the quality of the show, but for their state of their own minds. They don't want to have to take 12 other jobs while they're working on season 4 because, Dan Harmon has Harmon Quest and Harmontown and all these other podcasts. They want to be able to focus solely on the show. So that brings up the quality of the show in the long run. This is like huge because it's a lot more than most people in the animation industry could really ever dream of.
Right. I mean, I feel like if you're doing like an animated series, if you get over 3 seasons, you're crushing it.
And now all they have to do is not go on Twitter at 2:00 in the morning and blast a bunch of racist tweets. Right?
Oh man. We won't put it past Dan Harmon. Who knows? We might drink a whole mason jar full of moonshine. We'll just see what happens.
Of course, we're talking about Roseanne Barr. So this is from RollingStone.com. After Roseanne Barr posted a tweet on a Tuesday morning comparing Obama advisor Valerie Jarrett to an ape, ABC announced it canceled the reboot version of Roseanne, which had been the #1 show on television. Quote, Roseanne's Twitter statement is abhorrent, repugnant, and inconsistent with our values, and we've decided to cancel her show, end quote. Disney CEO Bob Iger added on Twitter that, quote, there was only one thing to do here, and that was the right thing. Amid a flurry of Tuesday morning tweets, Barr likened Obama advisor Valerie Jarrett, who is an African-American, to an ape. Quote, Muslim Brotherhood and Planet of the Apes had a baby equals Valerie Jarrett.
Jesus Christ.
I know. After trying to pass the slur off as a joke, and then on May 29th, she put out an apology to Valerie Jarrett and to all Americans. She said, I'm truly sorry for making a bad joke about politics and her looks. I should have known better. Forgive my jokes. It was in bad taste, but the damage had already been done. Prior to comparing Jarrett to an ape, Barr spent hours Tuesday morning tweeting and retweeting a number of far-right conspiracy theories, most of them regarding the Clintons and George Soros. Following Barr's remark about Jarrett, Wanda Sykes, an African-American comedian and consulting producer on the show Roseanne, tweeted Tuesday morning that she was leaving Roseanne. This is before her show got canceled. Wanda Sykes quit, which I can't blame her.
Which I wish I could have seen that, though. I wish I could have I don't blame her at all. Yeah, I'm honest. It's just Wanda Sykes getting the fuck out of there.
Yeah. Her management company, this is the people who represent her. ICM Partners announced Tuesday that they're cutting ties with Barr. So her agents.
Oh, I didn't know it was that deep.
Yeah.
Wow.
We are greatly distressed by the disgraceful and unacceptable tweet from Roseanne Barr this morning. And effective immediately, Roseanne Barr is no longer our client. And then later on Tuesday, the show was pulled out of syndication by CMT, TV Land, the Paramount Network, Laugh, and Australia's Network 10. Hulu also removed the show from its streaming services. God, man, it just goes on. And what's crazy is that the first season of the show had been wildly successful, and they had just wrapped up shooting like the week of May 22nd. And the show was actually pretty good because Roseanne and I, my wife's name is Roseanne, which is weird, but we started watching it because we had been a fan of her show, but what it does is it sort of like opens a dialogue about families that are torn apart by the election, because Jackie in the show, who's played by Laurie Metcalf, plays her sister, who's a liberal. And so it shows the dichotomy of two people trying to live together, or at least, continue to be cordial to each other, who have political differences and what the conversation's about. So Sarah Gilbert's character, Darlene, has a son who's a gender nonconformist. He identifies as a boy, but he was wearing traditionally feminine clothing on the show, which ignited really important conversations about how to talk to children about gender identity. There was also this component of Roseanne. One of her grandkids was biracial. DJ, her son, had a wife who was serving in Afghanistan who was black, and his daughter was biracial. Roseanne, the character, starts to get addicted to opioids because she has a knee problem, and they talk about that. Now, look, I'm not making any excuses for Roseanne. I'm just saying that she's a walking contradiction. She's a mess, dude.
Now, from what I've heard of people who are in, I never really got into Roseanne, even wasn't like what I watched kind of growing up.
Right.
But, I mean, I watched the first season recently, and it just seems, at least in the first season when I've seen that show, like had a lot of things that aren't talked about in sitcoms to present. And, I mean, yeah, it's like what her co-star says. Even there's a lot of people involved in that cast that doesn't really.
Yeah, I feel really unfortunate for the cast.
Fucking John Goodman, you're telling me?
I know, man.
That
the whole cast and crew. Think about the people who signed on and were like, "Oh wow, it's going to be successful,"
right.
And the show's actually making a statement about what it's like to live in Trump's America.
People who maybe even that was going to be their big breakthrough.
It's all over.
Yeah.
Just like that.
Because you had to make a fucking Planet of the Apes reference.
Oh, my God, man. Well, and then let's talk about what happened later on that week. In a case of spectacularly bad timing, by the way, this is from CNN.com. The very next day, comedian Samantha Bee delivered a scathing critique of the Trump administration's policy of separating undocumented children from their parents and the notable absence of Ivanka Trump from the debate. And that ended with her, Samantha Bee, calling the senior White House official, Ivanka, a feckless cunt on her TBS show, Full Frontal. Samantha Bee later apologized on Thursday, and that comes in the wake of a national debate about incendiary language in the political arena. And Sarah Huckabee Sanders, who is the press secretary for Donald Trump, said the collective silence by the left and its media allies is appalling. Her disgusting comments and show are not fit for broadcast, and the executives at Time Warner and TBS must demonstrate that such explicit profanity about female members of the administration would not be condoned on its network. Now, this is what I have a problem with. It's when you have the administration trying to cause people to lose their jobs.
Right.
And essentially, Samantha Bee is not considered part of the press. It's an entertainment show.
Right. And it's like they're not employed by the government. They want to get people that don't even work for them fired. So now you get this blurred line of journalism and entertainment. And journalism is supposed to be the fourth estate, the watchdog of the government. Right. So in a way, Samantha Bee is calling out these sort of, I mean, even though she did it with a flourish of a word that's sort of taboo. I mean, yeah, but she preceded it with a dope usage of feckless. So I think that should be fine. So Bee, who made the comments on May 29th on her show Full Frontal, was criticizing the Trump administration over the separation of undocumented families apprehended at the border. After Ivanka Trump posted a photo of her and her child amid resurfaced reports that undocumented children are being separated from their families when they are apprehended by immigration authorities, Bee referenced Barr's recent tweets saying, quote, Ivanka Trump, who works at the White House, chose to post the second most oblivious tweet we've seen this week. You know, Ivanka, that's a beautiful photo of you and your child. Let me just say, one mother to another, do something about your dad's immigration practices, you feckless cunt. He listens to you. Put on something tight and low cut and tell your father to fucking stop it. Tell him it was an Obama thing and see how it goes. B later apologized for the comment on Twitter that day. On Twitter. That I would like to sincerely apologize to Ivanka and to my viewers for using an expletive on my show to describe her last night. It was inappropriate and inexcusable. I crossed a line and I deeply regret it. Should she have apologized, Reid? Nah. Okay. So here's my thing. Is so Roseanne, that was just a personal account. She tweeted a really not a joke. I'm doing quotes right now. Right.
And she later blamed it on Ambien.
Blamed it on Ambien. What the fuck? what Samantha Bee did, like that went through.
Right.
That was written by someone, went through people, was put on a teleprompter, possibly. Like that's probably her work. She believed it. She probably stands by it. But like that could be even someone else's writing involved in that.
Correct.
She's just doing her job.
Right.
And like Roseanne's just on her free time in between like fucking Candyland sleep zones, like making fucking racist.
Right. I don't think those things are even in the same ballpark. And even TBS went back and did on behalf of the TBS, the administration at TBS, we want to apologize. And I think she was afraid she was going to lose her show. I mean, that's why she jumped to the apology so quickly.
I can't judge that at all. I've never had a successful show on a big fucking, I don't know,
Right.
Like I feel like as a comedian, you always kind of have to stand behind what you say.
And for me, comedians are supposed to push the boundaries.
Yeah.
You're supposed to step right up to the line. This is where the line is, and I'm going to step over it briefly and tell you about the line. And now the line is moved again.
Right. Do you think like George Carlin would have apologized for any fucking thing he would have said?
No way, man. So we're getting to who did not actually refuse to apologize and is double down. Michelle Wolfe, the White House Correspondents' Dinner. I'm reading an opinion piece now from thedailybeast.com because I tend to agree with Erin Gloria Ryan, who wrote this opinion piece. And I'll start here with this. The White House Correspondents Association dinner is a celebration of the role of the press in upholding American democracy. The day after the dinner, however, has evolved to be a celebration of a different sort, a circle jerk of self-serious, bad comedy opinions, and an annual reminder that the political press is, collectively, a gaggle of unfunny dorks who should probably be forced to watch somebody smarter than they are make fun of them more often. You know what? We'll put a link in the comments of our podcast page to the transcript of Michelle Wolfe, so you can read for yourself the stuff she said. One of the things is, quote, "Of course, Trump isn't here. If you haven't noticed, he's not here. And I know, I would have dragged him here myself, but it turns out the president of the United States is the one pussy you're not allowed to grab." So then she's moving on. This is the Sarah Huckabee Sanders stuff. "Every time Sarah steps up to the podium, I get excited because I'm not really sure what we're going to get. A press briefing, a bunch of lies, or divided into softball teams." And she says, she goes on to say, "I actually really like Sarah. I think she's very resourceful. She burns facts and then uses that ash to create a perfect smoky eye. Like maybe she's born with it. Maybe it's lies."
Oh, the look she's giving her the whole time she's doing these jokes is like,
oh my God.
Favorite
it
thing.
Is so terrible. Dude, she's not happy. I mean, there's so many great burns in the whole thing. The next day, the outrage factory was in full tilt, man. And the criticism leveled at Wolfe came from all sides, not just the White House, but from journalists and feminists. I mean, an example quote is from CNN's Chris Celica: "Being funny is one thing, bullying people because you can is another." And Wolfe's treatment of Sanders was bullying. And, for me, it's like she is a public figure.
It's like, can we drag up some old Trump tweets right now if we're talking about bullying?
Thank you. Yeah, the pearl clutching over Michelle Wolfe's set exposes the gap between, like, the political press and the administration and what they're trying to represent to America, man. And Michelle Wolfe she went on talk shows, like, with Seth Meyers, and basically, she wasn't defending herself. She was basically building off of her comments.
Yeah.
Saying,
why not?
"Oh,
she's huge. She's like, like that nothing but helped her."
So the last thing from Erin Gloria Ryan, her opinion piece from the Daily Beast, she sort of sums it up here. "The people in the ballroom think they are fooling people outside. The people like Michelle Wolfe. They aren't. They know exactly how those in the ballroom fucked up, and they're pissed off. Michelle Wolfe is the sort of acid honesty that America needs right now. And if the group that fancies itself the guardians of the Republic is so weak they can't handle a roast from a stand-up comedian, then we're in even more trouble than I thought." Follow Erin Gloria Ryan from thedailybeast.com. She's awesome. Also, if you have any recommendations for things we should be discussing in the comedy realm, send us an email to cpgbpodcast@gmail.com.
I don't know if you've watched her Netflix show, but you should check out Michelle Wolfe's Netflix show. It's fantastic. I think it's going to be a weekly updated show. It's fucking fantastic.
And that's the thing. Netflix didn't go, "Oh, we better."
No.
They didn't even like make a comment or anything. They just said, "You guys knew what you were getting in for. You hired a comedian."
Right.
for the White House Correspondents' Dinner. What did you expect?
Sometimes it happens, though, man.
It should happen every time. Can we just like leave politics for a minute?
Let's totally stop.
Yeah, we should get into punk stuff. Oh, by the way, like I said, if you have any recommendations that we should be discussing in the comedy realm, send us an email at cpgbpodcast@gmail.com. You can follow us on Instagram at CPGB Podcast. Tweet at us on the tweeters at CPGB Podcast and Facebook at CPGB Podcast. And yeah, let's get into punk. And again, I would like to leave people who don't know how to express themselves properly behind.
I mean, this is going to be a theme of the whole show. Yeah, it's just like people who've irresponsibly used their words and mouth features.
And what we're talking about is NoFX, the punk band NoFX, dropped from a punk festival and their sponsorship. This is from WCMH. It was an Ohio television station. Punk band NoFX were scheduled to headline a beer and music festival at Legend Valley Music Center in Cincinnati, Ohio, but were pulled from the lineup after making insensitive jokes about a mass shooting. Billboard magazine reports that while another music festival in Las Vegas, which was punk rock bowling, the band made jokes about the Route 91 Harvest Festival shooting in Vegas last year, where a gunman opened fire on a crowd of concert goers, killing 58 people and injuring dozens. Radio station X107.5 DJs Dave Farah and Jason Mahoney posted video of the band's comments to Twitter. The band had just finished the song when the lead singer Fat Mike and guitarist Eric Melvin started talking, saying, quote, "You play a song about Muslims, you're going to get shot," Fat Mike says. "Man, I'd say getting shot in Vegas. I mean, if you're in a country band," Melvin replies. "You know, that sucked, but at least they were country fans and not punk rock fans," Fat Mike says. And so NoFX was scheduled to play the Camp Punk and Drublic Festival at Legend Valley Music Center in Cincinnati, Ohio, the weekend of May 31st, this past weekend, actually. And the festival announced the band would not be playing. They were replaced by the Descendents. Thank you.
Nice.
I think people got out better in that deal, personally.
Yeah, maybe just Fat Mike took one for the team.
Oh, man.
It's just like...
Well, Fat Mike is also in the band Me First and the Gimme Gimmes, who were scheduled to play on Friday, and they were replaced by The Vandals, which is another great punk band.
Is he like still drinking and doing crazy shit?
Fat Mike?
Fat Mike?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, he hasn't...
He doesn't seem like he's I'm gonna, like, my third act of life, I'm going to get clean and figure shit out kind of guy.
It's not. And he's not. And so the festival organizers said on Facebook, while NoFX is known for their dark, uncomfortable humor, the festival producers of Camp Punk and Drublic are shocked and disappointed by the band's recent statements about the Route 91 Harvest Festival victims and country music fans. Quote, "These statements do not reflect the feelings or views of Camp Punk and Drublic Festival, its staff, or sponsors. The festival organizers said they will make a donation to a fund benefiting those affected by the tragedy. Also, Stone Brewing has also severed all business and sponsorship ties with NoFX. The brewery was part sponsor of Punk and Drublic. And what nobody's talking about is the irony that Punk and Drublic is the name of the fifth studio album from NoFX and the inspiration of the festival and Stone Brewing beer."
Wow. Wait, like Stone Brewing started
a Punk and Drublic beer, basically bought it from NoFX, but you say, "Hey, we want to use your name." The festival said, "Hey, we want to use your name and you guys will headline and be, the big shit."
They're going to have to do just a whole PR swoop and just a whole remodel of that whole thing,
Well, again, they've apologized, but the damage is done. I mean, there's one thing about there's a fine line between being a punk and a punk ass. And that is some punk ass shit right there. That's pretty terrible.
Yeah. I mean, that's just like knowing you're like successful enough you can just like fuck around and say whatever you want. I don't know, man.
Not in today's climate, man. I mean,
don't get me wrong. I don't like country either. Like I'm
right. I don't think people should be killed over it. I mean, I'm not going to go as far as to be glad that.
I mean, maybe some select David Allen Coe fans, but like not anything. But like on general, not right. I'm just waiting for the Dave Mustaine say some stupid shit. That's what
right. And
waiting on.
You know, and it's another thing too. It's like if you're a comedian and you make a joke that's a too soon joke about that, that's one thing too. But he's not a comedian.
No.
He's Fat Mike of NoFX.
Yeah.
You know, do your set, let people mosh, and then take your money and get the fuck off the stage.
No, I think so too. I mean, when your name's Fat Mike, I don't think you should be like peddling topical humor, you know?
You're right. So, man, you saw some good shows recently too, man. You went to see the Bit Brigade and Mega Colossus.
Yeah, no. They were playing at King's.
Like the end of April, right?
In April, yeah. It seems like it's a hot second ago now. But, you know, our dudes, Mega Colossus opened. They played our song from...
Did you fanboy?
I kind of fanboyed a little bit. Like, Sean was just like, up on stage, and was just, they started playing Wendigo. And I was one of the first people that kind of, you know how, like, King's and a show starts is still that big circle
at the back
in the middle of the floor,
yep.
you know, and the front's... I don't know, I was like the first person to kind of just walk up and, like, it was like, hey, what's up? We're going to play a song about evil... cannibal forces, and then they just started playing, the song we opened every episode up with Wendigo.
Right, that's our intro is Wendigo by Mega Colossus. That must have just goosebumps,
yeah, it was
right?
awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, and Bit Brigade. So, what was that setup like? The video, the music, and what is Bit Brigade? I mean, in case our listeners have never heard of them.
So Bit Brigade is this band. I want to say they're out of Georgia. I want to say it's like maybe like Athens or something. So pretty much they set up like a projector on stage, and there's like a 4-piece band, 2 guitars, bass, and a drummer, and then it's a 5th member who is just a dude who sits in a chair and plays NES throughout the performance, and they project like the screen onto the projector, and pretty much they just, as he plays through, he plays through all of Zelda, the first Legend of Zelda game.
Is he doing a speed run, or is he like actually going in there and finding?
He's getting like all these fucking items too and shit. I don't know. He's like, it seems it seemed like they played for a while. It seemed like it was maybe like a full run through.
So they're doing the entire theme music as he's playing.
So he was like start all this band, and then like he'd like go into like one of the temples or something. It would just be like that like underground, just like the real kind of heavy
right
thing, and it would just be like.
So
like
they're changing the music up as he's going into different levels?
Like they're kind of like playing along. Yeah, as he's like, and you come out of it, and then it would go banta, and this back into banta. They're playing real time with what the soundtrack would be.
I thought it was a recorded video thing.
It's a guy actually playing The Legend of Zelda.
If he loses a life, does it go like...
Yeah. It was just it was amazing to see. It was, I don't know, it was just... I don't know. It was such an interesting twist on it. And they toured a lot. I think that was just like their Zelda tour. It seemed like, but like it was the nerdiest metal show I've ever been to, though. I can say there's just like dudes, with like Triforce shirts and like, I was standing behind this person who they had like a Link hat on, and like I swear to God they had like a Zelda backpack, and on their iPad I didn't mean like eavesdrop or whatever when you eavesdrop with your eyeballs, I don't know what it would be, and like you on their iPad I could tell they were reading Legend of Zelda fan fiction waiting for Bit Brigade to go on. Like they couldn't wait. There was like, Zelda has to enter my body in some way or else I'm going to die.
Oh man. Oh, that sounds like a great show.
It was like weirdly proud to be there. I was like, this is like my 2 favorite things kind of.
Yeah, well then you and I got a chance, you and I and Jenna and our friend who, just for the sake of anonymity, we'll call him Mark. Because our friend Mark, we went to go see Primus and Mastodon on May 20th.
Primus sucks.
First time for me seeing both bands. So I was pretty excited, accompanied by your lady friend, Jenna, our friend who we'll call Mark. We met up at the house and had some barbecue, had smoked for like 3 hours and some black eyed peas. And then we got a ride to the show, and we missed the opening.
Delicious, by the way.
Thank you. You're very welcome. Yeah. Set the foundation for the night. We missed the opening band, All Them Witches, and I really don't know much about them.
It was kind of like throwback bluesy rock kind of.
Okay. Straightforward rock and roll stuff.
Yeah.
Cool. We came up with a new game that you two can play at your next rock and roll show. Punk
or
show.
any show. That's the thing about it, is you can do it at any show.
You can do it at any show. And so it's a takeoff of the game Punch Bug. And for those of you in Myanmar who aren't familiar, I think there was a version of this game played, I think, throughout America. I think it's a piece of Americana. I think people have played this game everywhere.
Right.
So
also, we have cars. So, like,
Yeah, exactly. So when you see a Volkswagen Bug, you say Punch Bug and punch the closest person to you in the upper arm. It is the lowest form of a game that you can actually play.
Yeah.
So our version is when you see someone wearing a band shirt of the band that is actually going to be playing in the venue that you're currently in, you say punch shirt and you punch them in the upper arm. 2 punches if it's tucked in, and 3 punches if it's a corn shirt worn by a guy in face paint.
Oh, that guy. You would just catch him every once in a while. You would just...
It was sleeveless too.
Sleeveless.
And not like a design sleeveless, his custom sleeveless corn shirt, right?
Yeah, like he made that in his basement somewhere.
Weren't you like trying to bargain with Jenna for a tour shirt for a punch or something? Like,
yeah, I told her that she could punch me in the face if she bought me a tour shirt for the. I just wagered that she couldn't punch that hard. I don't know. But we ended up coming to an agreement that we'll share the shirts. We're gonna swap off on the Desaturated 7 tour shirt.
and, they had a really nice Mastodon blanket too, like a
Yeah.
Snuggie. It's like, was that like a cock punch for that one?
I couldn't look myself in the mirror if I had a Mastodon blanket. I don't know.
Yeah. Okay. So first of all, about the venue, Red Hat Amphitheater is a police state.
It is a police state.
Is that safe to say?
I think so. I was I don't know. I was worried about cops constantly all the time. I had nothing to worry about.
I know.
So.
They're like one security staff for every 10 people there, it seemed like. And they even had bathroom monitors, which is a shitty job, I'd admit. You're welcome.
Oh, dude, I walked into a bathroom one time and it was just like, it was like someone, it was like the bathroom was made of weed. It was like the little like urinal cakes, weed. It was like hemp urinal cakes. That's what.
The soap dispenser?
Yes, weed, hemp, like weed, like where the air dryer, for your hands. It was just constant, just weed smoke that you dried your hands in.
Toilet paper?
Weed.
But they were like running people out of the aisle if you linger too long, and
yeah,
it's
which I feel like it was not so well attended that you couldn't just like walk or like just at least in your own section, just sit anywhere.
Yeah, but you have to admit though that the sound was good. It sounded good. Mastodon played a pretty mild set. I mean, it was kind of digestible.
Yeah, it was very. They're not like my most favorite band anymore.
The video screen was pretty cool. I enjoyed the psychedelic Kraken Cthulhu eyeball visuals they had rolling in the background.
That was pretty cool.
And then they kind of came right at you like Guitar Hero or Rock Band. Mm-hmm. I felt like I was going to level up any minute. It was pretty cool.
Star Power or whatever that would be.
But then Primus came on to the chance of Primus Sucks.
Primus Sucks.
I loved it. It's so cool.
So that was your first Primus show.
That was my first Primus show, and I loved it.
There was such a weird energy at Primus. I think it was like a little lacking in the show. I don't know if it was just because the venue is like so segmented and like.
Well, there's also like a mixed bag of people who are into Primus, right?
Yeah, it's still like the old school guys who got probably like they're like old metal too. They were like, Clutch and Primus, and now since Les Claypool's been doing all these festival dates, especially kind of intermingling with jam band musicians like the dude from Fish or like Oysterhead. It's kind of like this. Now it's like hippies.
Yeah, he's getting the crossover from the jam band guys.
Yeah,
so Dave Matthews fans will be there with their hats on backwards. And
it's very weird. It was like, dude, you've never even heard the Brown album, I bet.
So like the opening visual was really cool. Salad Fingers.
Yeah, they did. Yeah, they had Salad Fingers,
which was cool. It's like I had to explain to Mark who Salad Fingers was.
It's early internet shit.
It is some early internet stuff. Flash animation. Most of the show was dominated by their 2017 release, the Desaturating 7. They opened it up with like the Valley The tune offers up like the exposition that's narrated by Justin Chancellor on the album.
Oh, who does he play for? Justin Chancellor. He was he in Smash Mouth? No,
you look that up. So the Desaturating Seven was inspired by a 1978 children's book called The Rainbow Goblins, and capitalizes on an eerie story about goblins and rainbows. Go figure. And after
he's the bass player for Tool.
Okay. So so he does some narration section on this as well, sort of like the narrator of the book. And this made for some like really cool visuals too, man. Like the goblin, rainbow goblin stuff was really cool. And then after they play like Frizzle Fry, Claypool comes back wearing like ram's horns on his head.
It's very much part of the whole Primus live Primus show. Is
his headgear,
coming back. He'll come. He's like doing. Anytime he does like stand up bass stuff, I've seen it a couple of times. He wears the pig mask.
Oh, right.
From like the Mr. Know It All video, I guess, or whatever. Yeah.
And then I think the drummer came out wearing like monk robes. I remember. And then
Timmy Alexander.
Yeah. And at one point they switch over to like an acoustic. It gets like an acoustic vibe where Les is playing the upright bass and the guitar player is playing acoustic guitar, which is like mounted on a stand.
Yeah.
And when he walked away from it one time, I was like, "Oh, it's floating! Oh, it's on a stand."
Yeah, you were like far back enough you can't really tell how it's rigged and stuff.
Right.
Because it does the album kind of starts out a little like kind of soft, right?
Yeah, it was cool.
When it gets into the 7, it's just like
it was like kind of medieval, whimsical, and dark feel.
It is almost had like a lean kind of more for like a prog rock kind of album, that like as far as the Primus work. Yeah, it was very King Crimson ish.
Yeah, and our buddy Mark, man, he was full of piss and vinegar way early.
Yeah,
and then we got back to the house to figure out like the car situation because we were going to go out later. Took a pause for the calls. Mark closed his eyes and he was gone.
Yeah, he was into the ethers, man. He was out of there.
Yeah, I like walked you guys back to the car because I was going to be babysitting. Came back and he was lying down on the bench behind my house.
Yeah, it took literally like a minute and a half, if even a minute. I don't know.
But it was a good time, man. And then, of course, we went and saw another... God, we saw so many shows together, man. Descendents, Radke, and Pieface Girls at the Ritz in Raleigh. And it was so cool, man. I really enjoyed it.
That was a great show.
Totally different vibe than the Red Hat, the Ritz. I mean, even though you do have to kind of go through the security getting in. But yeah, man, it was so cool. Pieface Girls, who was a Raleigh band. And this is what the Descendents have been doing is like they're touring with Radke. But what they'll do is hire a local punk band at all the locations.
See, I saw that on their Charlotte stop too. I guess it's a local band.
Yep. Because I was looking at some of the different reviews of the tour and noticing that they were picking up a lot of. I mean, they're really blessing one single punk band to say, "Hey, you guys are it." And Pieface Girls are really cool. They're a trio.
So would they be doing their own kind of like? They'll like be listening to a lot of local bands of the area, kind of, and just
I don't know.
They doing? You don't know if they're doing.
How? But that's a good question. How are they sourcing their?
How is the booking going on?
Right. So Pieface Girls is a trio of Danny Hoffpower on guitar and vocals, Tiffany Huff on bass and vocals, and Clay Misenheimer on drums and vocals. And it's like catchy Riot Girl influenced garage punk, man, which is awesome. It's power trio stuff. And they played it. We only caught the last 2 songs, but I went back and saw a review that they played. They played "Fuck You, I'm Pretty," "Dude, Your Girlfriend Sucks," and "Get on the Floor." And then Radke played. They're a Missouri-based trio consisting of...
from Missouri?
Yeah.
Nice.
Consisting of brothers, all last name Radke. D on lead vocals and guitar, Isaiah on bass and vocals, Solomon on drums, and just as for a visual, I mean, they're all like black dudes too, which is really cool because like how often do you have an all-black punk band that's made up of all brothers?
Yeah, of all brothers, and they're all like, and they're like early 20s, I imagine. I don't know. Yeah, they're pretty young.
They're really young looking, and
they're fantastic too.
They're kind of unassuming looking too, but it's like kind of punk and fuzzy garage rock mixed with like blues and got some metal and really catchy melodies. And
that's what I've been listening to. I listened to a little bit of the week after. There's just like some really good hooks.
The lead singer D channels the voice and power of Glenn Danzig.
Yeah,
sort of.
That's if Glenn Danzig was if Danzig was a family band,
like the Partridge Family,
right?
Yeah, it's kind of weird to hear like such a deep and kind of powerful voice coming out of such a small guy because he's tiny.
No, he's not that big of a dude. It's like, you know.
Yeah, they're all from St. Joseph, Missouri, and they did about a 45 minute set. And then after that, man, the Descendents went on stage, which is something I've been waiting for a long time. I mean, I saw them end of last year, went to Charlotte to just go see the Descendents, and probably wouldn't have if I'd have known they were coming to the Ritz, but I'm glad I've saw them because those were two different shows.
Right. Would they play the Fillmore or something?
Yeah, they played the Fillmore, which is essentially like the Ritz, although it's a little bit nicer. I think it sounds better at the Fillmore, but it's I think they're both not Live Nation venues as well. Yeah, man, it was cool to see, like, you know, these guys have been doing it for like 4 decades. They've taken breaks now and then. Milo Aukerman, who's the lead singer, they took some time off for him to attend college, and he was focusing on his career as a research scientist. And then he got laid off. He was working for DuPont, and he got laid off, and he's like, fuck it, let's hit the road again. And so they started touring Hypercaffeine Spazzinate, which was their 2016 release, I think.
Yeah.
You know, what's kind of cool?
That's like really cool. He had his real job.
Yeah.
He had like a day job again.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
He's like ducked out, and the band was like, okay, and everybody went and did their own thing. I know that Stephen Edgerton was like a guitar tech for a lot of punk bands, who's the lead guitarist, and and then they said, hey, let's get the band back together, and they actually did it. And it's kind of weird because like they're all now middle aged.
Yeah, like they were pretty old.
Yeah, I mean, and the venue was packed with lots of old punks. You know, the demeanor of the crowd was kind of like polite and considerate and generally happy, even in the mosh pit. I mean, I haven't seen so much crowd surfing.
No, it just started out with like a lot of crowd surfing.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, and it wasn't in like the front of the show wasn't crowded with a bunch of people trying to take selfies. You know, these were people who were totally into the music. They were there to see the show, and they got to see a really killer punk show. I mean, right from the very beginning when Stephen Edgerton walks up and says, I want to be stereotyped. I want to be classified. And, you know, I want to be stereotyped. Right into Suburban Home, man, which was pretty, it's appropriate to play in really Raleigh.
Good,
you know? There's tons of Suburban Homes here.
A lot of fucking like distraught youth.
Yeah, and then they have songs, and you know, I think a lot of their songs too sort of show their age. I mean, in a good way. Like No Fat Burger is kind of a tongue-in-cheek lament about having to cut all the good food from your diet because you're getting up there in years. And they did a 38-song set, which is insane. Yeah, is one song after another. I want to be a bear, Clean Sheets, I'm not a punk, I don't want to grow up.
Yeah, when you send me the setlist.fm for it, I'm gonna like make a Spotify whole playlist of that.
I'll do that, man, and send it to me. Yeah, we'll create a link. Let me make a note. We'll create a link for that for people who want to see what the set list was at the Ritz. They're kind of doing the same set list everywhere and then mixing up the encores, which was a double encore. They just put on a really good show, man, and I was excited. I'm glad I could see them with you.
Do you remember what Primus's encore was?
Was it My Name Is Mud? No,
it was.
It was, wasn't it?
It was. I almost want to say they talked shit about the whole noise ordinance thing.
Right.
Like I saw the set. Like Andy Forrester posted the set list, like Les's set list on his friend runs sound there and got it to him, and their whole ending of it, there was a lot more stuff than was even on the set list.
Well, I noticed that at other venues throughout the country that they were playing longer encores. And they were playing Jerry Was a Race Car Driver, which is the song I wanted and they kind of just dipped
into it maybe for the first verse and first chorus, and then went into like
something else.
I think they went into like Toys Go Winding Down, and then maybe into like My Name Is Mud.
They teased it, yeah. It stinks that we were right up against a friggin' 1030 noise ordinance or something crazy.
I feel like Claypool is even kind of like, well. They don't want us to keep you guys up tonight, so
we're done.
We're done.
Right, and they pulled the plug, and it's that's unfortunate. That's what you get when you go to Red Hat, man. I mean, and it's weird because we talk about the show started in daylight. It's weird being at a metal show during the day.
No, it is. Like it's even whenever I saw Iron Maiden in Charlotte a couple years ago, it was like Alice Cooper opened. It was in like the daylight, and it was weird. You know?
Yeah, because you want it to be dark and sinister.
Oh, which I can't wait to see him in October here at Duke Energy Center.
That's gonna be a good show, man. So what else is going on in punk? Let's get through this really quick, man. Tenacious D is touring again. Jack Black and Kyle Gass are back together again for the first time in 5 years. They're going to be touring. They're doing another album that they'll be touring out of too. It should be. Let's see if they've got some dates up. but it's the follow-up to Rise of the Phoenix, which they said is probably going to be called Post-Apocalypto. And they're going to be in Canada in June, October in New York. And they started in October in New York, and then Boston, D.C., Philly, Pittsburgh, Detroit, Columbus, Chicago. Those are the only things that they've announced, just major cities.
Right.
Hopefully they'll be coming through here as well. Another thing that's announced, Riot Fest has revealed its preliminary 2018 lineup. The Chicago Punk and Rock Festival that happens at Douglas Park in Chicago, September 14th to the 16th. Blink-182 is playing, Beck, Elvis Costello, Incubus, Interpol, Blondie, Alkaline Trio, Jerry Lee Lewis.
Yeah, Jerry Lee Lewis is going to be there.
Just noticed
He's
that.
still alive. When I saw that I forgot that he was still.
Is he still married to his cousin?
Yeah, but she's like 74 now. It's not weird.
It was weird then. It's weird now. I'm sorry.
Yeah, that was super weird.
Dropkick Murphys are going to be there. Bad Religion, Cypress Hill, Flogging Molly.
I heard like the bass player, because Jenna really wanted to go see because Flogging Molly and Dropkick Murphy are touring together right now.
Oh, right.
One of those dudes had like emergency like knee surgery, back surgery, or something. I think that's. So you think that's gonna be weird? Like I think they're having to like either
get somebody
cancel
to
some dates or maybe.
Oh, one of the things we forgot to mention is Reid Mullen.
Oh yeah, no, that was like one of the coolest parts about the Sun's show was if you're unfamiliar, Reid Mullins is the drummer for local Raleigh, born and bred metal band Corrosion Conformity, and the Descendents invited him to play drums,
which is really
for the
cool.
whole show, and they had that kick-ass like I guess like limited run shirt. Where it was like the Corrosion Conformity logo and the
Milo,
the Milo thing,
yeah.
Kind of mashed up.
Yeah, I went online. They don't offer them. It was just for that show.
I kind of wish we would snag one of those up.
Me too, man. Who else is playing at that show? Guar, the Aquabats, Pussy Riot, Lagwagon, Adolescents. Man, there's just way too many here to announce. I'll put a link to the announcement in our podcast page in the comment section, so check out for that. Also, last month we announced that The Cave, a punk and music venue in Chapel Hill, was closing. As it turns out, The Cave is going to reopen under new ownership, and it's being sold to a set of new owners in the coming weeks. And leading that charge is Melissa Swingle from Trailer Bride and Autumn Spencer. Both are longtime bartenders. Swingle is a fixture in the local music scene. She's also in the Neurotics. She played one of the last Cave's funeral show weeks. And Mark Connor, who bought the Cave in 2012, and his business partner, Slim's owner, Van Alston, had been searching for a buyer. And then once Melissa Swingle realized that it was dire, she swooped in and decided that she would become part of that new thing. So as of press time, the sale wasn't finalized, but there's still some paperwork to finish. There's no reopening date, but according to Swingle, they'll likely throw another big party to celebrate the next chapter once all the ink is dried.
It's awesome. I'm glad it's going to stay up, and I hope they keep doing shows there.
So if you guys have any recommendations for punk or metal bands, send us an email at cpgbpodcast@gmail.com, tweet at us at cpgbpodcast, or see us on Facebook at cpgbpodcast. Let's talk about games, man. There's a lot of video games coming out, Reid.
Yeah, so 2018 is just like slammed with releases.
Yeah. We have a huge list of games that are coming out.
So many.
And again, we don't want to go through all of them here. We just want to read a list to you, but we'll put a link we'll put a link of these games that are coming out. And the ones that we were talking about, there's probably over 40 games that are coming out for Xbox One, PC, PS4. And I'll put a link in the podcast page for you. Yeah,
too.
You want to go over a couple that you're excited about?
I'm really like probably what I'm most excited about this year is like one of my favorite parts, and it's PS4 exclusive. One of the best game franchises PlayStation's ever had was the Spider-Man.
Oh yeah,
franchise, and they're coming out with a new one this year.
And on what platforms?
It's just PS4. It's
just
PS4 exclusive, and it's coming out September 7th. And I saw a promotion for it that if you pre-order now, you get the Iron Spider. It's swappable. Skins, costumes. You can have. I think you get the Iron Spider suit from Infinity War.
Cool.
And the Spider-Punk costume from Spider-Verse. And I think there's one they have to reveal. Yeah, but I'm real excited about that because Spider-Man 2 for PlayStation was one of my favorite games of all time.
Cool.
So you're coming out with it's like a remake of Spyro. For PS4 and Xbox One, and September 21st also. And new Mega Man game, which is, I feel like, it's a pretty diehard fan base. Pretty sure a lot of people are getting excited for it, and that's
cool.
Cross platforms on October 2nd. And one that I'm also personally excited for is the Red Dead Redemption 2 for PS4 and Xbox One. That is coming out on October 26th. Did you ever play any of the, like, even the first one for, like, the original PlayStation?
Remember, I'm from the ROM cartridge days. You got to bring me up to date, man.
Yeah, no, this is just a great.
You know what would be great is if PlayStation and Xbox would just send me a free console.
Yeah, no, wouldn't that be great?
If they could just send me an email or
just when your back's hurting, you don't want to like stand and like what better things could you do than play a fine game through a PlayStation 4 or. I mean, we're not going to get this endorsement if we're flip-flopping on which brand we're going to go for, so I think you got to make a decision like right now.
Yeah, if it's up to you guys. First one to show up at my door gets the review.
Oh, they're clamoring. You can hear it. From here, I can hear these like multi-billion-dollar industries being like, we got to get that guy in Raleigh a fucking game, I guess.
What else, man? Anything else you're excited about?
I didn't know they were coming out with a new Soul Calibur, and I'm pretty pumped about that. That was one of my favorite fighting game series when I was growing up.
Cool.
And,
when is that?
That is to be confirmed, but it's going to be for PS4, Xbox One, and PC.
Yeah, I saw that there's also a Call of Cthulhu that's coming out. Kind of a fan of Cthulhu myself. It's going to be for PS4, Xbox One, and PC, and that date is to be decided as well. And there's Final Fantasy VII Remake. It's coming out to PS4. It's going to be a timed exclusive, and they have not released a date on that yet either.
You know what I see is really interesting on here, though, Ryan, is like this Call of Duty Black Ops 4 is a release date of October 12th. And Battlefield 5, which is, pretty much their huge rival kind of competitor. It's the next week. It's October 19th.
Oh, wow.
So
that's crazy. We
can figure out who likes fake killing people more, I guess, online.
Yeah, and who loves to watch them too, because esports arenas are like picking up, man. And that's another thing I wanted to talk about is like video games are starting to like kind of take over the real world, like across the United States. Companies are like taking old malls and old movie theaters and old storefronts and parking garages and turning them into neighborhood esports arenas. I mean, I haven't seen one in Raleigh, but I think this is really kind of happening on the West Coast a little bit, definitely in Los Angeles.
Is it kind of weird that they took the mall and like just made the arcade and it just expanded it to the entire mall pretty much, like...
Well, they say that a lot of this has to do with the popularity of Fortnite, because in the month of February, or March rather, people spent more than 128 million hours on Twitch just watching other people play Fortnite, and 2.4 billion views on YouTube in February alone.
It's gonna be like a weird, like a sports bar. Like if they offered like drinks and wings, it would
yeah,
be like
that's totally
like a sports bar kind of.
So professional esports leagues around like League of Legends are growing so much in popularity, and there's like 150 million gamers in America, and they want to sit next to each other. They want to be head to head, elbow to elbow, play controller to controller. They want the lighting to be cool. They want the snacks to be available. They want a full bar because they're not teenagers anymore.
Right.
And so this is kind of inevitable. And with movie theater attendance hitting like a 25-year low in 2017, and at the same time, 638,000 people tuned in to watch Drake play Fortnite recently.
That's nuts.
That's crazy. And they said when they opened...
Who's Drake?
They said that 4,000 people jammed into a former parking structure onto the street around it to get into Jack London Square, which is in Oakland, to go to a new esports arena. 4,000 people. The sponsor was Cup of Noodles. And I'm reading.
Is that self-aware?
Yeah, exactly. It was very self-aware. This is an article from the New York Times. There were some game sound effects, hundreds of hands clicking on controllers, and shoutcasters who are like the ones who comment on games for live streams. All these people are kind of coming together and creating these new esports rooms. I'm excited if Raleigh ever gets one.
Man, that'd be really cool.
Yeah, maybe I'll pick up a controller again. Oh, man, what else is going on? Little tabletop news. Your beloved Batman animated series.
Oh, yeah. It's
my
favorite thing in the world.
It's going to make a jump to tabletop gaming. IDW is planning a release of Batman the Animated Series.
IDW is doing? Like,
Yep.
Is it like the comic book publisher? Is it a different kind of? Is
No,
there also
it's
IDW?
the same.
Wow,
Yeah.
interesting.
Yeah.
Must be like in association with DC, I guess.
Yep. They're doing Batman the Animated Series Gotham Under Siege. Is intended from 1 to 5 players. You adopt the role of the Dark Knight and his allies in order to protect Gotham City from the Caped Crusaders rogues gallery.
So does this mean that like you get like one person has decided to be Batman, like one because like everyone just wants to be Batman, right? Well, except right, Batgirl would be pretty sweet. But
You mean like if you're playing more than one?
If you're playing with more than one player,
you can't have 4 Batmans, right?
Yeah, you can't have 4 Batman. Somebody's gonna have to like.
I don't know. Maybe it's who else was in? I mean, is Robin?
Would it be like Robin, Nightwing, Batgirl? If you want to really piss them off, just be Alfred. I'd be Alfred. I would give a fuck. I'd be like, listen, I'd be like a great character to roll for.
Yeah.
Make soup.
So
roll a 10.
It has players have to use dice and careful management of various threats to safeguard Gotham against bosses and their henchmen, all bent on destroying the city. Sounds like a typical Batman storyline. Includes new artwork, 3D city buildings, character miniatures, and other components.
Ooh, is it all like Bruce Timmed? Yeah. Is it all?
Yeah, that would be awesome. And set to preview at Origins Game Fair in Columbus, Ohio. And this will be released in August.
That is the game for me.
I think it is. We finally found it.
I think I need to get that.
Also in tabletop news, I had the pleasure of chatting with Ray Machuga of Higher Grounds Gaming LLC. His company just released the second edition of a really fantastic tabletop role-playing game called Warsong. He sent me an advanced copy of it so that I could get a look through the DM's Guild, which is a digital download. And it's built with the Fate core mechanics in mind. It allows you to play a character in a Sengoku punk setting, which is sort of set in like a Japanese martial arts, lots of samurai, lots of robes and katanas sort of thing. But there's also, so you have like these warring clans battling for honor and land on a massive continent of Lemuria. Warsong this is the second edition of Warsong. It's got this really cool mix of sword, sorcery, and high-tech fantasy with roaming hordes of undead, post-apocalyptic civilizations, political intrigue, and sort of like a divine righteousness to help motivate characters through the world where only one can sit on the coveted chrysanthemum throne.
Nice.
Yeah, it's been submitted to the Gen Con In-World RPG Awards for an ENnie as well, which is an annual fan-based celebration of excellence in tabletop role-playing. I highly recommend picking up a copy through Drive-Thru RPG. I'll put the link below in comments. And support an independent game creator. And we'll keep you updated when the physical hardcover comes available later this year. You can pick it up on drivethrurpg.com right now. Moving on to more tabletop news. We're going to be a little tabletop heavy just because there was a lot of... so last month, the Mordenkainen Tomb of Foes dropped, which is the Dungeons & Dragons newest source book. And all of the limited edition... Not all of them, but I know at the store that we work at, like 40 copies of the limited edition were damaged. Like every single one of them. To the point that Wizards of the Coast, the people who own Dungeons & Dragons, had to make a press release stating that they're going to do a make good on all of these limited editions. So people, it's like, here, you can buy them if you want, but the spine had a smeared lettering on them because they're kind of embossed and raised silver silk screen on it. Yeah.
Are those going to be more valuable, do you think, if you got like a first run, one of the like a kind of a defective one? So
what they had, some of the people posted, I saw this guy post one, it was an inverted copy, so when you open it, all the pages are upside down.
Okay.
And those are worth more.
Okay.
Because that's like a one-off. And they said people have seen those in regular editions of previous source books, but they've never seen them in limited edition copy before.
Okay.
So yeah, I know that the one for Volo's Guide to Monsters is going for like $300 an inverted copy. That's it retails at $50 and on Amazon for like $34 or
That's
whatever.
Good markup.
It is. So Mordenkainen Tomb of Foes has been out for a while, and a lot of people have been really excited about that as well. But the one thing that happened is that the guys over at D&D, they had this thing called the Stream of Many Eyes over the weekend, and they announced the next storyline adventure in Dungeons & Dragons, and it's called Waterdeep Dragon Heist. And the second one, that's going to be a sequel to that one is called The Dungeon of the Mad Maze. Waterdeep Dungeon of the Mad Maze. And while the details are still kind of scarce at the moment, it's going to be like an urban treasure hunt. So people get to go throughout the entire world of Waterdeep, use diplomacy, intrigue, stealth, and their wits, and try to solve clues and puzzles and stuff. And that first one, Dragon Heist, is for levels 1 to 5, and then the dungeon goes from levels 5 to 20. And the people are really excited about it because they don't write books for level 20. Like, typically it stops at 15,
right,
and then you can kind of buff it to go for higher levels. But this one's specifically written for that, and people are fucking excited about it, man. I'm excited about it. And they're also going to make another announcement later on this summer about switching a new setting away from Forgotten Realms. So there will be it'll be probably going back to some of the older ones like Spelljammer or Dark Sun. I know, Reid, you're glazing over listening to me talk about it.
No, I'm like really trying to, I'm kind of like, oh, there's so many words that like I have to think about, like I have to hear and then like, oh, okay. I get distracted by like Dragon Heist. I'm like, oh man, I want that to be the new Oceans.
Well, then let's engage Reid a little bit.
I didn't mean that to be like disrespectful at all. As far as me, like, I didn't mean to like glaze over. If I did, ish.
Well, here's your chance.
You had me at the Batman game.
Here's your chance to use your brain, Reid, because you hear that music? That music can only mean one thing. It's time once again for everyone's favorite quiz show, Magic the Gathering card or metal band.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. Reid, I'm going to read you 10 words or phrases, and you must tell me if it is the name of a Magic the Gathering card or the name of a metal band. Now, you have not seen these names before, correct?
I have not seen these names before.
I have not prompted you in any way prior to this.
You have not prompted me in any way prior to this.
We are counting on your vast knowledge of metal bands and your limited knowledge of Magic the Gathering. Are you ready?
Yes.
Okay, number 1. Mournkind. It's Mournkind, and it's one word. Mournkind.
I'm going Magic the Gathering card on this.
I'm sorry, that's incorrect. It is a black metal band from Portugal.
I knew they were going to be black metal band from Portugal. How the fuck did you find that shit?
Still active. 2018 album called "Sowing the Empire of Lucifer." Yeah.
Okay. Damn.
You're not even like thinking about them anymore. Like you used to talk this through with me. And
now I'm just like
you're just like answering straight up.
Now, yeah, I just want to know. It's like I need the gratification or the disappointment, like immediately.
Whatever works for you, Reid. By the way, Troy Coleman wanted to play this. The comedian Troy Coleman out of Wilmington, and
soon to be Atlanta.
He moved like this week, I think, to Atlanta, and he works at a game store like I do, a tabletop hobby shop, and I think he would ace this if we ever got to get him to play. I think we're going to have to just have a special one-off episode with Troy where he plays, where we talk everything.
He just smashes all my scores.
You did really well last time. You got 8 out of 10 last time. The first time you did it, you got 2 out of 10. So we'll see. Okay. So number 2, Out of the Void.
Well, Into the Void is a Black Sabbath song. And if I'm using I don't know. I'm trying to come up with logic behind this. There's none, though. It's 100% a coin toss on it. I say it might sound like it might be like an adventure kind of Magic the Gathering card.
I'm sorry, that's incorrect. You should have stayed with your instinct because
I know.
It's a doom metal band from Canada.
Of course, so many doom metal bands just do names or knockoffs of Sabbath songs.
Yeah.
I should have. Yeah, you're right.
Stick with it, man. They had a 2018 album called "The Earth Screams."
No offense, you're not derivative. The next one.
All right, number 3, Frosttide. One word. Frosttide. Frosttide.
All right, I'm gonna go Magic the Gathering card.
I'm sorry, that's incorrect.
Wow, you're really laying them down though. Now you're just going straight metal bands. I feel like this is like a psychological warfare of like I can't switch to them now. I can't be like metal band because there's no way the next one's going to be metal band.
Frosttide is a melodic folk metal band from Finland, still active. 2015 album called Blood Oath.
They're like ABBA.
What we should really do is go back and make a Spotify playlist.
Yeah.
If these guys are even on Spotify, of all these metal bands,
all these guys are on Spotify.
I think it would be pretty fucking dope, man, if we do that.
Let's see that.
All right, you're 0 for 3. Here we go. Number 4. Well,
Metal band. Okay, no, we hear it out. We hear it out.
Okay, here we go. Well of Souls. Well of Souls. WELLOFSOULS. Well of Souls.
God, all I want to say is Magic the Gathering card right now.
Is that it?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, that's incorrect.
Are you kidding me? Are there any?
It's a doom metal band from Houston, Texas. Still active. 2012 album Sorrow My Name.
Okay.
Would he do 5 in a row? Would he?
Was that the fifth one?
That was the fourth one. You're 0 for 4.
Okay.
So now so Reid is asking himself, would Ryan...
Now I'm like, yeah, it's not even like the names don't even matter. It's solely just like probability now.
All right, here we go. Number 5. Cryoclasm.
Metal band.
I'm sorry. That's
I fucking hate myself.
It's a magic.
Do you know how much like Troy would just love to watch this? Like me just fail. He loves it.
It's a red card. Its casting cost is 2 red. It's a sorcery. The text on the card is destroy a target, plains, or island. Cryoclasm deals 3 damage to that land's controller. Okay. 0 for 5. I thought this was going to be easy this week.
All right.
Number 6.
Did you think I was just going to do metal bands the whole time? I just like...
Okay, here we go. Cosmogyral. I'll spell it for you. COSMOGYRAL. Cosmogyral. Think it through, man. Come on. What are you thinking?
Yeah, you're right. I've been pretty illogical with you so far. Cosmogyral. It also sounds like it could be talked about in an OBGYN or something. Like it's a gynecological like term. Cosmogyral. Your uterus is its own galaxy in it.
Like a new age yoga / OBGYN story. Where they say,
like, well, your baby will come in the tides of the Saturn, and you're like, it's just gonna be a cosmogyral baby. We're going to pull your baby out of the stars. It's like a C-section, but out of stars.
Cosmogyral.
Cosmogyral. I think I'm going to go metal band with it.
That is correct. They are a melodic death metal band from Fort Lauderdale, Florida. Still active, and their album from 2018 is Behold. Which is what you would say after the child is born, right? We're going to go down this OBGYN thing.
Behold, the child of the stars.
All right, number 7. Impure Declaration. Impure Declaration.
Declaration. I can't even say Declaration.
Impure Declaration.
Declaration. Impure. That sounds like if someone drew a dick on the Declaration of Independence, by the way.
Like where instead where the signature
it's like this is now an impure declaration.
John Hancock.
It was like, all right, like John Hancock, he signed it first, and then just the next guy just drew a dick, all right under it. Like he underlined John Hancock with genitals.
Patrick Henry came up and it's like totally gonna troll him on this one.
Hags.
Impure Declaration.
Impure Declaration. I'm gonna go Magic the Gathering card.
I'm sorry, that's incorrect. It is a death metal band from Poland, still active. Their one album from 2012. No Paths, No Guides. All right, you're 1 for 7. This is number 8.
All right.
Legion's Landing.
Legion's Landing.
Legion's Landing.
All right, alliteration. Where does that take me? What is more likely to use alliteration? You know, if Stan Lee wrote Magic the Gathering cards, this would be a lot easier. You know, like if Stan Lee did like it'd be everyone would be alliteration. It'd be like
Peter
Goblin
Park.
Jim. I don't know. It would be
Goblin Gary.
Goblin Gary. Necromancer Nancy.
Legion's Landing.
I'm gonna go Magic the Gathering card.
That is correct.
Good Lord.
You are on fire now. It's a white card. The casting cost is 1 white. It's a legendary enchantment. When Legion's Landing enters the battlefield, create a 1/1 white vampire creature token with lifelink. When you attack with 3 or more creatures, transform Legion's Landing. Okay, number 9. Let's see if you can finish strong. Burning Anger.
I know it's in my gut.
Get it, man.
I feel like this is like some weird. If you like cloned every member of Hatebreed, and you gave him like a weird knockoff name, what is it again? Like
Burning Anger.
Burning Anger. Yeah, I'm gonna go Metal Band.
I'm sorry, it's incorrect. It is.
I am incorrect as a person. I am incorrect.
It's a Magic the Gathering card. Its cost is 4 red. It's an enchantment. The enchanted creature, this creature deals damage equal to its power to any target. All right, so let's finish strong, man. This is number 10. You are 2 for 9.
2 for 9.
Let's see if you can go.
Am I just like flip-flopping my like average
the next
each
time?
Yeah,
you were blowing the curve, man. All right, so number 10, Demonic Dread.
Oh, it's all of these Stanley ones.
Alliteration. Demonic Dread.
Demonic Dread. Hey, if it was going to be in Magic the Gathering, I feel like, I don't know, I just think like this would be like their weird antidepressant commercial. I just feel like, are you experiencing Demonic Dread? Can you not get out of your mud bed in the morning? Anyway.
Side effects may be stabbing your parents in their sleep. Demonic Dread.
If you've had suicidal thoughts and tendencies, this drug may turn you into a suicidal dragon. I'm gonna go Magic the Gathering card.
That is correct. It is 1 black and a red sorcery card. When you cast this spell, exile cards from the top of your library. Until you exile a non-land card that costs less, you may cast it without paying its mana cost. Put the exiled cards on the bottom of your library in any random order. Target creature cannot block this turn. Thanks for playing, Reid. We have some lovely parting gifts from our sponsor, Political Correctness. If you can't say anything nice about someone, then shut the fuck up. Political Correctness. Killing comedy since 1991. If you have any recommendations for things we could be discussing in the gaming world, send us an email at cpgbpodcast@gmail.com. Holla at us on Facebook or Instagram, CPGB Podcast, and Twitter as well. Let's get into the books, shall we? See what's on the bookshelf, man. What have you been reading, Reid?
Recently I've been getting caught up on the Marvel's been doing that's kind of like the 2-in-1 they always did. I went back and I also checked out some of the old ones, but it'd be, I think most of the time it was like a Spider-Man and then he'd have a guest star.
Oh yeah.
But recently they've been doing
it's
a
2-in-1. Is that what it's called?
Yeah, it's like a 2. It's just, it's like 2 characters and
yeah.
So it's basically a team up book. But the most recent one has been like a Thing and Human Torch, but it's been just kind of, it's not like a Creature of the Week kind of thing like the old one used to be. It's basically, I don't know, in some event,
right.
Reed Richards, Sue, Storm, missing, they're gone. The Thing and the Human Torch, they're kind of still just, they're distraught. They think they're just, they're gone. There's no hope. And Reed Richards left behind like a multi-sec, some device that they can travel across the multiverse and gives the Thing a little bit of hope. And he maybe sells a little too much to the Human Torch, and it
lets you bring in new characters when you get to travel across the multiverse, right?
Right. No, they go to like their first alternate universe, and it's where all superheroes operate under S.H.I.E.L.D., and it's like their Fantastic Four fell apart, but also since they're disconnected from Reed and Sue, their powers are slowly diminishing because
the further away they get from
each other, their powers slowly falter.
That's
so
cool.
It's a lot of. It's just, I love the Thing. The Thing's like probably one of my favorite kids. It's a lot of he's so relatable. If you ever,
I'm partial to the Thing myself.
Right. If you ever sold somebody hope, then you probably shouldn't have. It's
right.
very much like that's what he's. He's the most relatable character in the Marvel universe. I don't know. And he was a giant rock monster.
Right.
That and Dark Knight Metal it was the last year. It was an event that Scott Snyder did for DC where pretty much. The dark multiverse finds its way into the main universe of the DC universe through Batman. Through the New 52 run, he's been exposed to 5 kind of like unworldly metals that activate.
And that's part of the new 52? Is Dark Metal?
Yeah, it's part of the New 52. It's pre-Rebirth. It's really cool just for... Basically, it's like a Justice League made of all evil Batmans comes in, and it's kind of... But it's a good tie together of like its whole run, kind of. That's really what that and the main Batman series, which is still just fantastic, leading up to the numbers 50, the special Bruce Wayne and Selena Kyle wedding issue, which I'm
the
really
big wedding.
for.
Man, that's been building that up for a minute, haven't they?
Yeah, I'm pretty excited for it.
I've been reading. So I had a chance to chat online with Lex Wilson, who is a writer and actor from North Carolina. His stories have won the Eagle Award in comics and writers of the future. He's been he's written for science fiction prose. He's worked in Asimov's Analog, Outlaw Territory 2, Image Comics. He's been in the Florida Review. He's been all over the place. And he sent me a copy of Uninvited Quests, which is sort of this comedic take on the fantasy world.
Right.
There's a half-human paladin, and she's kind of on an apology tour for a former evil god. And there's this squire that she has with it, and it's up to them to kind of save a kingdom, and they have to slay the Dragon Queen and prevent worldwide doom. There's also like this whole dungeon crawl thing too, where they fight goblins and oozes and monsters and stuff. It's a really cool. It's the first book in a series of comedic fantasy adventures for Lex Wilson. And if you like humor and a sort of a fresh take on some of the familiar archetypes of fantasy, it kind of subverts the typical fantasy tropes. Then you'll love Lex Wilson's stuff. It's really cool. Like I said, I spent like the first 1/10 of the book takes place in the doorway of a winemaker shop, where the winemaker has this person with a dagger in his back, and he's trying to get rid of this paladin who won't shut up. And she just keeps going on. And either he's like going, oh, she's going to save me. Maybe if I talk to her this way. He goes, but maybe this guy with the dagger in my back, who I don't know who he is, will kill me if I start talking this way. So it's really tense, but it's funny. And I highly recommend picking up a copy. You can get it on Amazon, wherever you get your e-reader books or your e-books at it. He provided a copy for me to read. I'm going to make sure Reid gets a copy of it too. Right. And I'll have finished it by the time the next one comes out. Again, that's Lex Wilson's Uninvited Quests. And we were at, God, man, we've done so much the last month.
We have a lot of comic book stuff to talk about.
Free Comic Book Day.
Yes. Like my nerd Kwanzaa. It's my favorite time of the year.
What did you do for Free Comic Book Day, man?
Well, it happened during the Cape Fear Festival.
That's right.
It was the Saturday. So it was the Saturday morning of when I just drank all day Friday. And that line starts forming early, dude. I had to get there at like 9 in the morning. I'm just incredibly hungover. And that's been just a reoccurring part of my life. Is for the past like 5 years, my Free Comic Day has totally changed because I'm usually just hungover in line.
Right.
But sometimes you get lucky. The group of people you're behind is a family with like 5 semi-attended kids. And dude, I was just I'm just like sunglasses. I'm just so hungover, and this kid, like the daughter, apparently she had a phobia of people in masks and costumes.
Oh,
so
well,
what better place to take your kid than the line of Free Comic Book Day? But I want to be honest. So the first one where she freaked out, like I thought was kind of hilarious because it was a Spider-Man. Who he was coming this whole length of this line, just like kind of like cheering the
high-fiving
line
people.
Like,
it's Free Comic Book
it's
Day.
Spider-Man! I love Spider-Man! And he just kind of makes his way up to her, and this girl bursts out in tears and just yells, "No!" And like he was wearing a mask, but I could feel the confusion on his face. Like that was amazing. But also, why are you going to take your kid?
Why would you torture your child?
Hey, my kid's greatest fear is snakes. I want to take him to the Serpentarium. They might have a good time. No, and there's this like this kid. He's a baby. I don't know. It's like a young kid, young enough to like
a toddler.
Yeah, he would be like scooped up by an eagle. That's like my like definition of a baby. Is how scoopable by a bird of prey they are. And so there's this, speaking of, at some point there's a bird, before we got there, had hit the side of the store, like through the window, it was just laying on the ground.
Dead?
dead.
Okay.
It had been there for a couple days. I'm no like pathologist for, like medical examiner for birds, but like it'd been there for a couple days, and the way I found out about that was because I was wearing flip-flops for the first time that whole week in Wilmington. I just felt ants on my feet. And this kid had picked up this dead bird and just thrown it at my feet. I'd almost quit on comic books that day. I was either going to, like, my only recourse is just to leave that line, or I could just start chain smoking behind this face. Like, that was my only, like, defense. Is like, I can just shamelessly just smoke an entire pack of cigarettes behind these kids.
And you're, like, really hungover at the boot, right?
God, dude, it was the worst. I shout out to Memory Lane Comic Books in Wilmington because you guys are awesome. I enjoy the experience. Thanks for having me, you guys. You guys are like literally probably my favorite store in the state.
Well, I had a similar sort of run in. I mean, and this is all about controlling your kids at events, right? So this happened 4 weeks ago almost, and I was carrying my cane because when I carry my cane around, people give me first of all, they give me a wide berth. They go, here comes a guy, because I don't want people jostling up against me.
This guy's disabled, or he started a dinosaur theme park. Let's get out of his way.
Exactly. And because of my back, it just helps me sort of keep my balance too. And I'm digging through the dollar comics. So we'd gone through the line, and I had a bag of comics, my free comic books in a bag, and I had the cane in front of me, and I had my bag hanging on the cane. So, I wasn't taking up any space. I was, as I like to say, when you're comic digging, stay in your lane. Don't
stay in your box lane.
Stay in your box lane, right?
Yeah.
And so, I'm doing that. So this guy's beside me, and his son comes up and goes, "Dad, I gotta pee." And he goes, "Okay," was the response. And he just kept digging. He's like, "No, I really gotta go bad." And I'm just like, oh, please, God, send this kid to the bathroom. I mean, we're outside of a comic book store and several restaurants.
Right.
And he goes, okay, just one second. And
you went to Ultimate then,
yeah,
right?
we were at the Ultimate Comics.
Like when they have the tent.
Yeah, they have a tent outside. This was Ultimate Comics 3, which is, we purposefully went to the new store because, we want to put some new traffic in the new store. Right, we figured it probably wouldn't be as crowded. They had some people in cosplay there. It was cool. And it really wasn't as crowded. And it was kind of by design to go to this one.
Right.
And this dad completely ignored his kid who's starting to do like the pee dance. Like, I gotta really go. And to the point he started grabbing the edge of the comic book boxes and tilting them. The dad didn't do anything when that happened. I reached over and pushed the comic book box down so the kid didn't dump 250 books onto the ground.
Right.
And then he grabs my cane and starts to like lean on it and starts moving it around, and my back falls to the ground, and this guy could care less about it. And and I'm just going, and I looked and I was just like, God, I'll take this kid to the, I don't want to be that creepy guy at the comic book store.
Like, I'll take your kid to the bathroom. Don't mind the limp.
Take your kid to the, but thanks Ultimate Comics for having us. We had a great time. Alan Gill, who owns Ultimate Comics, does a great job with his free comic book day. And what a lot of people don't know is that those free comic books are paid for they're not given for free to the comic book stores.
No,
they have to buy all those.
They still have to buy them. I mean, that's the thing. Well, I think there's been kind of a change in the whole. I mean, when I was like maybe like 10 years ago when I would go, I think you could pretty much grab whatever you wanted, and now it's kind of they kind of keep it more limited.
Yeah, they want you to.
They want you to grab like 5, 6, 4, 5, 6, however many they allow you to. Because like if memory lane, like if you like posted about checked in there on social media, got an extra one, or if you tagged them in a social media post, you got an extra one, or if you were one of their subscribers, like get a full box.
Well, I was able to get some Conan the Barbarian 200 is stuff and 100 the Marvel ones, and Conan the Cimmerian early issues. I got a Conan the Adventurer #1, which isn't that rare, but to be in the dollar box is pretty cool because it has a really cool embossed cover,
right,
and sort of a metallic finish. A Beavis and Butthead #1, 2, and
was that one of the free ones they were doing, or did you?
No. These were all in the dollar comics. So now we're getting into Dollar Comic Day. Also, Ultimate Comics recently, like probably 2 weeks after they had their free comic book day, they had a dollar comic day, and we both went.
right.
to that one.
We did a shift in the comic mines. We went. What's the canary in a comic mine? I don't know, but
goodness,
I mean, I knew you were there for like 5 hours.
I was there for I was there
4 or 5
from 11. I was 11:30 to 4, so 4.5. But you were there for 6 hours.
Yeah, no, I got there before you did. My bad about that again.
That's okay. No worries.
No, I got in there early. I don't know, but it was there's a lot of stuff I had to put back. I really fucking wanted though. There was like a Elseworlds Lobo annual, just kind of like pretty much what if.
Oh yeah.
So specifically, oh man.
Yeah, we ran into. I mean, the problem is that you can't. It was a multi-day event. Probably the first time they've had that one over the course of 4 days because it was over Memorial Day weekend.
Right.
So they had 200 long boxes of comics. It takes me 10 minutes to go through a long box of comics, sometimes 15 minutes. But let's say that's 6 boxes an hour. If you're there for 3 hours, that's only 18 boxes. So there's still like 180 boxes, 82 boxes you haven't been through yet.
Right.
And so
I couldn't believe the amount of. I thought I could get that through that room in a day, and I was just like,
there's no way. I mean, I even went back the next day and didn't cover any of the ground that I covered the day before.
And I was kind of coming off of a whole knee episode too, so I was just like,
and I kind of went in there with okay, I'm just looking for my stuff, my collectible stuff, right. And then which is I found stuff too, like my G.I. Joe Real American Hero. I've started collecting those as well, but then I see stuff like Android's Dream of Electric Sheep, which is a comic book that's based off the novel of Philip K. Dick, which is inspired Blade Runner. Right. And then the Iron Maiden biography comic.
That was really cool.
I know. And the thing is, at the $1 comic day, if you get to 100 comics, they're 40 cents a piece.
Right.
So if you're going to buy 60 comics, you might as well go for another 40 and hit that limit, right?
Yeah, that's what I think. Yeah, if you're going to spend $60
and that's
60 comics, why wouldn't you spend $40 and get 100 comics?
And that's when it starts getting dangerous, because now I start going, oh, there's a whole stuff I don't collect, have no interest in. I'm like, oh, this is number 1 through 10 of these.
Right.
Well, I could probably, if these are only 40 cents a piece and I sell them for 80 cents on eBay plus shipping.
Well, they're selling for 40 cents a piece. I bet they're still making a killing and just kind of freeing up space in their inventory.
Well, I mean, I think Alan Gill, who's the owner of Ultimate Comics, is buying by the pound.
Right.
When he buys these things, he goes in. I don't know.
Does he go to auctions or something?
He must go to auctions. He's buying out old comic book stores because you can see they have price tags from old comic book stores on them.
Right.
But he's also buying people's collections because I'm finding full runs of something.
Yeah.
Of 10 comics, 1 through 10 of this one shot thing that they did. And I'm
you picked up a lot of Clive Barkers. That had to be that had to be somebody's collection or something.
Yeah. I found a lot of Clive Barker books, like paperback books.
Yeah.
So another high watermark, another watershed moment happened this past week as well. Amazing Spider-Man number 800 came out. We talked about Superman Action Comics number 1000. Amazing Spider-Man 800 went to my friendly neighborhood comic store. Again, Ultimate Comics. They were sold out of a few of the variant covers, and some they just didn't carry at all. But there's 45 variant covers.
That's insane.
Is that a problem?
I think it's a huge problem. It's just, it's, I mean, if you're creating so much surplus in your market, that's it's geared so much towards collectors and having full collections. You're going to piss a lot of your customers off that way.
Right. And the thing is they weren't specifically, there's an Alex Ross cover, and then there's what they call the Virgin cover, which means it doesn't have any lettering. It doesn't have the barcode on the front. It doesn't have the Marvel logo. It's just a full art cover. And
it means it hasn't been licked by Stan Lee yet.
Right.
All the non-Virgin ones have been licked by Stan
Lee. They're only what they call a 1 in 50, which means that there's only going to be one of these for every 50 of the covers that they make for it. And then there's there's 45 different variants of those, but there's doubles of those Virgin covers.
And they're I don't know if we said how much the cover price in this comic book is, but it's $10.
It's a $10 cover price on.
It's going to cost you $450 to collect every variant cover of this
that's
issue.
Incorrect. You know why?
Right.
Because those 1 in 500s and those in 50s.
If you bought them on the stands, though, would it still be?
Yes. If a store is actually carrying a 1 in 500 Alex Ross Virgin cover, $300 right off the shelf.
Wow.
That's what it's marked at.
Yeah, no.
The 1 in 100 Mobius Virgin cover is $45.
Wasn't there one that was in like the thousands?
Like a 1 in 1,000?
No, I thought there was like one that was like around. No, that's way too much.
No, there's a 1 in 500 Steve Ditko remastered color variant that's $350.
Yeah,
and then these are just like
still you could buy a car or every issue of this comic book.
I think it's a huge problem, man. I mean, they're headed. I spoke to a guy who I was chatting with, who's a big collector as well. He also has like a vintage antiques business, and we were just talking about the 90s when they just flooded the market with all these variant. Right. It's kind of started doing the variant covers too. It's in the Bronze Age, in the beginning of the current era, and how the market crashed, and they're kind of headed down that same path.
And all their content just became so exploitive. It was just like, oh, cool Superman. It was they just trying to figure out a way to get readers in just by being just exploitive. Just like, we killed Superman. Read the book. We killed Superman. Read the goddamn book. Man, Peter Parker's a clone. He's been a clone the whole time.
So we're way over time.
We are so over time right now.
Yeah. I'm going to, we'll mention some of this other stuff. Again, we're going to skip Eisner Awards. I mean, the nominations are out there.
When are the winners now? Oh, it'll be San Diego Con, right?
Friday, July 20th. So
we got time.
Yeah, we got time.
We can talk about this.
Yeah, we can hit it up in the next one. But I do want to give a shout out to some of the people who passed. Margot Kidder. We lost Margot Kidder. She was famed as Lois Lane in the 1978 film Superman. She died on May 13th. She
was such a good Lois Lane.
She was so good. She died on May 13th at her home in Montana. According to her manager, the actress died peacefully in her sleep. Kidder starred opposite Christopher Reeve's Clark Kent and his alter ego Superman in the original film, as well as 3 sequels: Superman 2 in 1980, Superman 3 in 83, and number 4, The Quest for Peace, in 87. She was born in the Northwest Territories of Canada, but she was also in the Amityville Horror in 1979 as well. And after 3 marriages and thousands of dollars in medical bills, she found herself homeless in 1996 as she struggled with bipolar disorder. Her story grabbed the hearts of fans and Hollywood, and they reached out to help Kidder and eventually got her back on her feet, and she went on to become a huge mental health advocate. She was 69 years old as well. We also lost Philip Roth last month, and this is from Variety.com. Philip Roth was the American novelist responsible for such seminal works as American Pastoral, Goodbye Columbus. He died in May 22nd. Throughout his career, Roth won 2 National Book Awards, in addition to the Pulitzer Prize for Fiction in 1997 for his book American Pastoral. His career was prolific, beginning with 1959's Goodbye Columbus and spanning well into 2000s. Author was also outspoken on religion and considered himself an atheist, telling the Guardian, quote, "I'm exactly the opposite of religious. I'm anti-religious. I find religious people hideous. It's all a big lie." Philip Roth was 85.
Man, it's all a big lie.
It's all a big lie. Don't believe it. Tom Wolfe, also the author and journalist known for pioneering new journalism, died on May 14th. Wolfe's agent, Lynn Nesbitt, confirmed with the Associated Press that Wolfe died of an infection in the New York City hospital. Some of his notable works were The Electric Kool-Aid Acid Test, The Right Stuff, The Last American Hero, The Bonfire of the Vanities, 3 of which were made into film as well. And
the whole acid, the cross-country trip, right?
Yeah, he took a cross...
Him and the guy who wrote...
Ken Kesey.
Ken Kesey.
Yeah, who wrote One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest.
Right.
He was writing with the Merry Pranksters across the United States. It's a great book, The Electric Kool-Aid Acid Test. He was known for his dapper style and signature white suits.
And drugs.
And he was a star in his own right in the 70s and 80s, and he's developed this style called New Journalism, which was marked by interior monologues, eccentric language. Hunter S. Thompson was also part of that New Journalism movement. He went on to have best-selling success with his works of fiction and nonfiction. He was born in Richmond, Virginia, attended Washington and Lee University, and went to get his PhD at Yale before becoming a reporter. He's survived by his wife, Sheila, and son, Tommy. He was 88. If you have any recommendations for things we should be reading, send us an email at cpgbpodcast@gmail. Holla at us on Instagram at cpgbpodcast. Tweet at us on Twitter at cpgbpodcast, and Facebook us at cpgbpodcast. Reid, plug away, my friend.
All right, you guys. We are this coming week. This comes out on Wednesday, the June 7th. We're gonna have a People Showcase at the Outpost. Doors are at 8. Show starts at 9. I'm very excited for this one. We got our headliner is gonna be Haley Boyle. She's been doing comedy for a long time. You can tell she is just so pro.
Is she going to have her kid with her?
Yeah, she's going to have her Robin, her son, with her, and she's going to have that dude in a papoose, and she'll be talking about real dirty shit with a baby. I did a show opening with Haley Boyle at Monstercade a couple months ago, and she headlined, was wearing her papoose with Robin in it, and just started talking about blowjobs, and the lady left the bar. Because she called it a disgrace, and that she hoped that she crashed her car on the way home, that the baby would be fine. Ladies and gentlemen, Haley Boyle is hilarious. Wow. You need to come see her at the Outpost. That is this Thursday, the 7th at the Outpost, and it's $5 cash at the door. And also we have their upcoming Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson House Party Comedy open mic on this 13th. And also the 27th of June, and that's going to be sign up at 9. Show starts at 9:30. That's in Raleigh. And also, this is a little ahead of time, but I'm very excited about it. I'm going to be doing shows at SuperCon in July at the Convention Center in Raleigh. So that's July 27th to the 29th.
Cool.
You'd be among my people talking about nerd stuff.
I will be appearing in the Whole Foods parking lot, zip-tying shopping carts to door handles of cars parked across 2 spaces. So don't be a dick. Park like a human. Special thanks to Mega Colossus for our intro. Again, follow us on Instagram, CPGB Podcast, on Twitter. You know the deal. Reid, got anything else?
I believe that is it for me. I do have a light June. If you need a person to come into a place and speak through a microphone and create joy or not, book me. You can email the podcast. Email me, pilgrimsr@gmail.com. Give me shows and your money, please. Bye.
All right. We'll see you guys at the shows.